Let's focus exclusively on operational controls. You might be wondering, what are operational controls and why do they matter? How do they differ from managerial policies set by our executives or the technical safeguards built into our systems? These are exactly the questions we'll explore. By the end of this short video, you'll understand what operational controls are, how they fit into frameworks like NIST 853 and NIST 800-171, and why they are vital for keeping organizations secure. We'll also look at real-world examples, including security breaches, to illustrate just how crucial these day-to-day security practices are. So let's dive in. Operational controls are the security measures that center on the people and processes in an organization's daily operations. In more formal terms, NIST defines operational controls as security controls that are primarily implemented and executed by people. In other words, these are the safeguards carried out through human actions and organizational procedures rather than by automated technology alone. To put it more simply, operational controls are the day-to-day activities that ensure the security of information systems. Think of tasks like conducting regular security training, monitoring system logs, performing data backups, and practicing incident response drills. These are all operational controls. They rely on people following procedures and best practices consistently. Now you may ask, why focus on operational controls? Well, because even the most advanced technical defenses can be undermined if our daily operational practices are weak or inconsistent. Imagine you have a state-of-the-art firewall guarding your network, but an IT staff member misconfigures it, or an employee clicks on a phishing email due to lack of training. The firewall's effectiveness is instantly blunted by an operational lapse. Operational controls are about bridging the gap, making sure policies and technologies are actually used correctly and effectively on a daily basis. Cybersecurity controls are often grouped into three broad categories: managerial, operational, and technical. It's important to understand how operational controls differ from the other two. Managerial controls are high-level strategic controls focused on governance, risk management, and oversight. They include policies, procedures, and planning activities set by management to guide security strategy. For example, a policy requiring annual security awareness training or a risk assessment process will be a managerial control. In fact, creating a policy that employees must receive security training is a managerial control, whereas the act of delivering that training is operational. Managerial controls set the expectations and rules. They're about decision-making and risk management from the top down. Once again, operational controls focus on the day-to-day operations and procedures that protect an organization. They're implemented by people rather than by technology. Operational controls put managerial policies into action. Examples include conducting employee cybersecurity training, maintaining access logs and reviewing them, guarding facilities, performing incident response, managing backups, and configuring systems securely on an ongoing basis. These activities ensure that security is maintained continuously in practice, not just on paper. Technical controls are the logical safeguards built into hardware, software, or systems to protect against threats. Technical controls include things like firewalls, encryption, antivirus software, multi-factor authentication, intrusion detection systems, and access control mechanisms enforced by software. They're executed by the information system automatically. In essence, technical controls are the tools and technologies that enforce security, whereas operational controls are the human actions that support and complement those tools. So in summary, managerial controls decide what we should do and set the policies. Technical controls are the automated solutions and gadgets that implement security in our systems. And operational controls are all about how people actually carry out and support security on a daily basis. Operational controls are sometimes also called administrative or procedural controls because they deal with administrative security procedures and human behaviors. Now, how do these concepts show up in major cybersecurity frameworks? Let's look at NIST Special Publication 853 and 800-171, two prominent frameworks from NIST, and see their take on operational controls. NIST Special Publication 853 is a comprehensive catalog of security controls used by U.S. federal agencies and widely adopted elsewhere. NIST 853 organizes its controls into families, and it covers all three categories of controls we discussed: In fact, NIST 853 Revision 5 lists 20 families of controls that provide a mix of operational, technical, and managerial safeguards. Some of these families are heavily operational in nature. For example, the Awareness and Training family is all about security training and awareness programs, clearly an operational control area. The Incident Response family covers how to prepare for and respond to security incidents, another operational domain. Configuration management involves secure configuration and change control processes. And contingency planning involves operational planning for emergencies like disaster recovery. There are also families for maintenance, media protection, physical and environmental protection, personnel security, and so on, all of which include controls that require people and processes to implement correctly on a routine basis. Even though recent revisions of NIST 853 don't explicitly label controls as operational or technical, the framework undeniably emphasizes operational best practices throughout these families. NIST 800-171 is a related framework that distills controls from 853 for use by contractors and other non-federal organizations handling sensitive data. NIST 800-171 contains 110 security requirements across 14 control families, which map closely to those in 853. These requirements cover a wide range of business practices, ranging from employee awareness and training to access controls to system integrity. Notice the range. On one end, we have awareness and training, an operational control focus, and on the other, we have system integrity and access control, more technical controls. This shows that NIST 800-171, like 853, stresses that having the right technology alone isn't enough. You also need solid operational practices. For instance, 800-171 explicitly requires organizations to provide security awareness training, one of its 110 requirements, and to establish an operational incident handling capability. These are operational controls that must be in place in addition to technical measures. Both NIST 853 and 800-171 essentially drive home the point that security is a combination of good policy, good tech, and good operational execution. It's often said that humans are the weakest link in cybersecurity. While that sounds a bit harsh, it underlines the truth. Many security failures occur not because a hacker outsmarted an ingenious technology, but because basic operational practices were lacking. In fact, research indicates that up to 95% of cybersecurity breaches are attributed to human error or preventable mistakes by people. The statistic alone tells us improving operational control, training our people, tightening our processes, could prevent a vast majority of incidents. Let's look at two scenarios. In case study 1, security researchers recently discovered an unsecured database belonging to a real estate company that left over 1.5 billion records exposed publicly, a gold mine of personal and financial data. Why did this happen? Well, the investigation found the database was left entirely unprotected, indicating lax security protocols, negligent password policies, and a lack of security awareness training. In short, technical protections were misconfigured or absent, and employees evidently hadn't been trained to secure the systems properly. This is a textbook example of an operational control failure. No matter how many policies might have existed on paper, if the staff isn't trained or following procedures to configure passwords in secure databases, massive breaches can occur. The breach tarnished the company's reputation and caused serious trust and legal issues. Now, imagine if robust operational controls had been in place. Regular audits of system configurations, strict procedures for setting database passwords, and thorough training of IT personnel on security basics. Those operational steps likely would have caught or prevented the oversight before data got exposed. Now, our next real-world example comes from an incident that occurred in 2013. Retail giant Target suffered an infamous breach that exposed around 40 million credit card numbers and personal data of 70 million customers. What's less known is that Target actually had a sophisticated technical security system that detected the attacker's activity, but the alert was missed and not acted upon. Reports later revealed that Target's security team overlooked internal alerts and only learned of the breach when law enforcement notified them. Why were the alerts missed? Well, it turns out the alerts were lost in a flood of routine warnings, many likely false positives, and at one point, some alarm systems were even turned off to reduce noise. This was fundamentally an operational breakdown. The technology and intrusion detection system worked. It rang the alarm, but the incident response procedures and monitoring processes failed. Staff were not prepared or didn't have an effective process to filter and respond to the alerts. The result was a delayed response that gave attackers weeks of free rein inside the network. The Target case is a stark reminder that having tools is not enough. Organizations need well-trained people and well-rehearsed processes to respond to incidents swiftly. An incident response plan only works if it's properly designed, people are trained on it, and it's tested regularly. After the breach, Target revamped its operational controls, including clearer procedures for handling alerts and more rigorous monitoring to avoid such a miss in the future. These examples highlight that many breaches are not just tech failures, but failures in security operations. Whether it's an employee failing for a phishing email, a server left unpatched because the patch management process faltered, or an intrusion alert that gets ignored due to poor incident handling, all are failures of operational controls. Conversely, organizations that excel in operational controls often catch attacks early or avoid them altogether. For instance, companies that conduct regular security awareness training tend to see far fewer successful phishing attacks because employees can recognize and report suspicious emails. Organizations with strong incident response plans that they practice through drills or tabletop exercises can contain damage much faster during a cyber incident. Let me ask a rhetorical question. Would you rather have a team that is well trained and prepared with a merely decent technology, or a state-of-the-art security system with a team that isn't paying attention? Most experts would choose the former. The ideal, of course, is to have both great tech and great operations. But if you neglect the operational side, even the best tech can be rendered ineffective. Let's recap the key points. Operational controls in cybersecurity are all about the people and procedural side of security, the everyday practices that keep systems safe. They differ from managerial controls, which are about high-level policy and risk management, and technical controls, which are the automated tools in software defenses. Operational controls are the glue that bind policy and technology. They ensure that security policies are actually practiced and that security technologies are effectively utilized. From the NIST frameworks we referenced, we learned that industry standards place heavy emphasis on these controls, requiring things like training programs, incident response capabilities, configuration management, and contingency planning. This isn't academic paperwork. It's because such operational measures have proven critical in real life. When humans aren't trained, or when procedures aren't followed or well designed, breaches happen. We saw that in the real estate firm's exposed database, and we saw that in the Target case. The key takeaway is that cybersecurity is a human and organizational endeavor. As beginner IT professionals, you should appreciate that installing security hardware or software is just the start. Ask yourself, are we conducting regular security awareness trainings? Do we have clear procedures for responding to incidents, and have we practiced them? Are we consistently applying patches and monitoring systems according to a plan? These are operational questions. Remember, a brilliant policy on paper means little if people don't know about it or follow it, and a brilliant security device is useless if people bypass it or ignore its alerts. Operational controls bring security to life. They create a culture and practice of security every day. In closing, I want to emphasize that strengthening operational controls often yields the best return on investment in security. It's about making sure everyone, from IT staff to end users, is aware, prepared, and involved in protecting the organization. As the NIST guidance and our example showed, when you empower people with knowledge and robust processes, you dramatically lower risk. So as you develop in your IT careers, pay attention, not just to what technology you deploy, but how it's used and who's using it. Technical defenses can fail, but a well-trained vigilant team using solid operational controls can catch mistakes and attacks before they become disasters. Thank you for listening.
CyberTech, run it up. Started from the bottom, now my search on the wall. Late nights, cold tight, never dropping the ball. Your Guardian Academy, they show me the way.